The ahankara, the feeling that I exist, my asmita, it must die, it must not exist. The ability to control the senses. So we get information from our environment, and when that information comes to us, it triggers our sense of self. Namaste, everyone, and welcome to another session on Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Today we will research chapter 4, verse 34 to 42. This subtle knowledge can be achieved by prostration, by questioning, and by service. Then wise people will teach you the knowledge of reaching the truth. Not knowing this, one will commit to delusion repeatedly. By this, all beings see in themselves me also. Even if you are more wretched than all other wretched people, you will be saved from wickedness by floating on this knowledge. Just as a blazing fire reduces fuel to ashes, the fire of knowledge reduces all actions to ashes. Verily, nothing is as pure as wisdom in this world. And this has been discovered over time by yogis who have achieved total perfection. Those that are sincere and dedicated obtain wisdom when they are totally and eagerly engaged, subduing the senses. Ignorant people and those without sincerity and dedication, doubting souls, will destroy themselves. In fact, doubting souls find happiness eluding them in this world and the next. However, when a person practices yoga, where action is renounced, doubts are removed, the self becomes steadied without the binding of karma. Therefore, cut this doubt that is born out of ignorance and residing in the heart by the self that has the sword of knowledge. Discard your doubts, take refuge in yoga, and rise. So, what is Sri Krishna trying to say? Let's look at the verses 34 to 42. The advice in these verses is very simple. Truth can only be achieved through introspection and service. Surrender to the Guru, surrender to a deity, it can be anybody. But surrender means the ahankara, the feeling that I exist, my asmita, it must die, it must not exist. Only when the asmita surrenders does the self then cognize the lessons in the universe. So that is what he's trying to say in verse 34. Truth can be achieved through surrender, introspection, and service. And when you surrender to those that know, when you provide service to those that know, then they will impart knowledge to you. Because only when yourself is subdued will they feel that you are able to absorb the knowledge that they are giving to you. The need for asmita to exist, I exist, self love applies a veil to all knowledge. So, when that self love exists, our ability to hear, cognize information from the universe is hampered. In 36 and 37, he says more or less the same thing. No matter what your background, the knowledge of the truth will give you independence from samsara or rebirth. That is, it does not matter where you come from, so long as you apply whatever he has spoken about in verse 34. Truth can be achieved through surrender, introspection, and service of those that know. When you give selfless service to those that know, then they then begin to give you knowledge or wisdom of the truth, which then enables you to break the bond of rebirth. Nothing in this world matters more than the truth, that is the wisdom of the truth. This is called tattva. And that knowledge is the ultimate knowledge that is available to any entity in the universe. Those that are focused in this endeavor are constantly engaged in controlling the senses. Now, this is a very critical part, the ability to control the senses. So we get information from our environment, and when that information comes to us, it triggers our sense of self. So we begin to then seek feedback or to give feedback. And this way, we begin to establish bonds with the various things that exist in our environment. This bondage that we have then stops us. It throws a veil in front of us and self from getting a clear view of the truth. So, the first rule is you have to control the senses. When you control the senses or the manas, that is, the stimulus keeps coming to you. You can't stop the stimulus from coming through your various sensory organs. My skin will continue to experience touch. My eyes will continue to see. My ears will continue to hear sounds. That cannot be stopped. But what I can do is where that information gets collated, the manas, I can slowly, using pranayama, using meditative techniques, slowly begin to nullify or to neutralize the information that comes. And when that information is not hitting the manas, then what happens is that the self is not agitated, the asmita is not agitated. When the asmita is not agitated, my chitta or consciousness begins to become steady or stable or tranquil. When that happens, the veil of materiality or Maya begins to drop from the soul. And then the information that is available, it's already available in the universe. That information begins to actually seep into us. And we are able to then understand the wisdom that exists, the wisdom of the universe. That is what he's trying to say. Control the senses. Ignorant people and those lacking sincerity and dedication and perseverance, Shraddha, inevitably end up getting caught in the maelstrom of rebirth. So essentially, what he's saying is that this is not an exciting activity. It is not like driving a car in an F1 race. It is not glamorous. It is a boring job. You have to stick with it 24 by 7. There is no shortcuts. Only when you're continuously engaged in subduing the senses will that become a habit. When it becomes a habit, slowly the senses begin to stop impacting the self, and then the consciousness begins to stabilize and then settle down and stop having ripples or start it stops moving, and then chitta vritti nirodha happens. That is what he is trying to say. Anyone who practices yoga has renounced outcome, is not caught by duality, whose self is steadied, breaks the trap of debt or ruin. Effort that you put in, the shraddha with which you put in that effort is critical. But in addition to that, there is another thing that he says you can do. He says that when you act, stay away from duality. For instance, if I am speaking to you, do not be caught in the problems of will somebody listen to me? Will somebody not listen to me? Will they like what I say? Will they not like what I say? Because the minute I start worrying about those things, then I will never get out of the trap of this material way of transmitting information. So, what he is saying is do not get trapped by duality. And thereafter, when you practice with Shraddha, the control of the manas, then slowly the self is steadied. Then you begin to break the trap that is caused by karma, which is debt or runa. So, erase doubts caused by ignorance and duality, practice yoga, and rise. Rise from this mediocrity of existence and begin to see reality, experience perfection, the truth, and merge with the Brahman. That is what he's trying to say. In a nutshell, we can say yoga is the movement of the self from turbulence to stillness, from cacophony to silence, and from a sense of doership or ahankara to inertness or bhasma. Thank you for watching. Do like, share, and subscribe. For more information, please do visit www.schoolofyoga.in.